All right, welcome. Today is Monday, May the 7th, and we are having team time tonight. Dee is on the incentive trip, and so we are leading tonight talking about new clients and client acquisition. We're going to talk about where to find new clients, what to do to bring them to the phone, and then what to say once they're on the phone. So we're really excited about tonight, and I thought just to get us started, our team time calls are always really awesome and jam-packed with lots of great ideas. And if you're like me, sometimes you can get overwhelmed with all kinds of new ideas you want to start and you can get stuck. So I'm going to recommend that you come up with one thing that you're going to do throughout this call, just one idea that you want to implement so that you don't get overwhelmed. And maybe it's more, if it is, more power to you, but try to think of at least one thing that you're going to do differently because of something you learned on tonight's call. And then when we post the recording, we would love if you could post a comment in the recording and tell us the one thing that you're going to do for some accountability. And as we get started here, we're talking about acquisition. I thought I would share a personal blooper about a mistake that I made, and or not really a mistake, but just a funny story that happened as I was acquiring a new client once. And if you have a blooper you'd like to share, that'd be really fun. But you see this little guy right here, this little turtle? This is actually a crayon. And so one time I got stuck in my playroom because I'm a mom of two little tiny tyrants, and I was on a share call and I was stuck. So all I had was a coloring page and a tiny crayon in the shape of a turtle. And so I did a share call with this crayon. And you know what? That person became a client, which is pretty hysterical. So all that to say, that was my blooper. We have incredible tools at our disposal, which I love, but even if you only have a tiny crayon, you can still help a lot of people, and Optavia can be that tool to help them. So hope that makes you get a chuckle at my expense, because I sure laughed about that for a while. Does anybody else have a blooper they want to share? Raise your hand, anybody? Or come off mute? No? Okay, well, think about it, maybe at the end. So it's just kind of funny. So as we get started here and we're talking about client acquisition, I love client acquisition. I love talking about how to find new people to help, because there's just so many people out there that need our help and they need Optavia. And when I first started, Dee, one of the best things that she told me was to picture yourself as an airline stewardess walking down the jetway of the airplane and asking people if they want peanuts or water, or just imagine yourself as an airline stewardess. And that took all the pressure off. I found just personally, the more I try to have a closed fist with my business or getting new clients and feel like, oh, I got to make a number, or I got to start 5 new clients this month, people can feel that. So I really try to have an open hand and really picture myself, okay, I'm an airline stewardess. I know that Optavia is a gift and it can help so many people. And it helps me kind of set my mind on just having my heart in the right place. We have incredible training at our fingertips. One of the best ones that we found recently is called Growing Global, which is a Facebook group that you can find, and your business coach can help connect you there. But there is a great video that was posted last week on the 3x3x3, which basically, just kind of the shorthand of it, you friend 3 new people a day, you post 3 times a day, and you start 3 new conversations a day. And just to be honest and real with you, when I first heard that whole strategy, I was like, I don't know. I don't know if that feels super genuine, because I really try to be a genuine person. And so I just wasn't sure. But when I went to Go Global, I met an awesome girl who was very, very genuine, and she has been doing that. And she said within 2 months, her business almost doubled in 2 months just by doing the work every day, being consistent. And we've got a new coach here, Aaron Bloodworth. And Aaron, you've been doing the 3x3x3 since you started. Would you mind sharing kind of what your experience has been with that?
Actually, I started last week. I heard it on the call last week at 8 o'clock, and was getting my hair done and texted you and was like, hey, what's this 333 thing called? So I actually changed it for myself. She sent me a document, but at the top, it's kind of my checklist of, have I done what I need to do? So like, have I had my water? Am I eating what I need to eat? And then have I had a quiet time? And then 3 friends, 3 conversations, and then 3 different Facebook posts. And I kind of came up with things that I'm doing each day. So like Source Sunday, so post a resource, Motivational Monday, Tip Tuesday, Water Wednesday, Transformation Thursday, Try Day Friday, and Successful Saturday. So that's like my second post. One's a personal and one's some sort of inspirational piece. But like adding people I don't know was really out of the box for me. But I'm like, I'm sure I've seen these people. We have this many friends in common. So I'm just going to try it. And like, I'd say I've probably gotten like 3 or 4 conversations out of that. I started Tuesday. Hasn't gone into a client, but it's really taken me kind of out of my comfort zone of just adding new people, because the people that we're around, like, we can't just stay in our friend group because that's all we have. Like, you got to go out beyond that. So, and then I take the conversations as a personal thing or a Facebook thing. Just starting a conversation with somebody, whether it be, hey, like just eating in front of people. So like, oh, what are you eating? Or a Facebook post where some sort of picture or motivation or whatever. And people tend to ask. And if people don't ask, then think of people that you want to bring it up to. And so I don't always start those 3 conversations, but make the posts and then add the friends, and then have at least 1 or 2 conversations a day, ideally 3, but just stepping out of the comfort zone, because if we stay where we are, then nothing's going to change. So kind of where we all were when we started our journey in general is, do we have the nerve to step out of our comfort zone and try something new? So that's kind of the same idea here, is stepping out of your comfort zone to see if you can find something new. And the more we do it, I just click add and just go with it. Because really, I mean, they don't want to be my friend. They don't want to be my friend. But just putting yourself out there, and it's offering you're not pushing anything on anybody. And just being open to a different platform. Because I think a lot of us get really scared about going outside of our little bubble. But if we don't increase our bubble, then we're not going to find new people. So it's kind of just, it's helpful and just makes me feel like I've at least done something every day. I'm very much try to do something every day. And I like checklists and whatnot. So that kind of gives me something. I printed like 4 to a page and just stick it in my planner for the week, and check, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Awesome. Yeah, and on our map, if you're a senior coach and above and you've been doing your map, there's a place for you to notate times that you've done that too, which I love. You can talk to your business coach if you need one of these. And one of the things, Erin, you shared with me last week that I thought was really cool, you had a lot of people that had already friended you that you just hadn't accepted yet. And so you went in and accepted them, and then they saw your post and it started conversation. So that was another great idea. So thanks for sharing that with us. Zena, you are a powerhouse in terms of client acquisition. Clients come all out of the woodwork with you. Would you mind sharing with us kind of your approach and how you live your life out loud?
Yeah, hi team. Dee would be very proud of us right now. So this is my favorite thing, because it's like, where can't you find someone? Everywhere. I was driving down the street, and there in a tailor shop said, losing weight, I made a U-turn, ran into that store, started talking to the guy and showing him all my pictures. His son, 15 years old, 300 pounds, is my client now. But had I not, I'm always looking and seeing what's available. My esthetician, I just grabbed out my phone and I started showing pictures. And look at this, look how many people, and her son died from obesity. She is now a client, and what a gift. Going to be a coach. And I was at the car dealership getting my car serviced, and I see this like weight loss contest they're having. I went to every single desk, giving out my cards, talking to everybody about it. I got somebody, and one of the guys and his girlfriend. I mean, it's just wherever I am, a grocery store, I'm in line, and behind me there I see veggies and meats, and I say, oh my God, you really eat healthy. And I took out my phone. That's the big thing. In my phone are the pictures of my before and after, and so many before and afters. If it's a little person with a little belly, those are the pictures they see. If it's a man, those are the pictures they see. You know, if it's just a little pregnant woman, who just had a baby, those are what I show. So I have that, and I can relate. They can relate to anything that I'm talking about. And I mean, I just came from the dentist, and I just started talking, and she said, oh my God, my husband's 100 pounds overweight, you know, and that's her and her husband going to do this together. But, you know, if I don't open my mouth and share this gift, I'm not afraid to talk about it. I'm not afraid to talk to anyone. My neighbor who just had a baby, so overweight, eating a candy bar. I stopped. I said, you have to stop and talk to me for a minute. I spoke to him. I mean, I don't care. You know, I'm saving this man's life to have an incredible life with his child. And now, after Go Global and going for a coach to share somebody's financial, you know, going from good to bad to great, that's what I'm about now. So it's like, you know, their health, their finances. I mean, I can't keep my mouth shut. You know, I mean, if you look at me sideways, I gotcha. So, you know, I just go after it. It's one of my greatest, I love it. You know, and the biggest part, I love Optavia. I believe in it so much, 100%, every part of it. So how can I not share this? So, you know, that's it. I know how it's worked for me as my weight, my maintenance. I mean, I've never kept weight off, you know, since August. And you know, so I want to share it. And that's what it's about. Just getting out there, sharing what's working for you. Don't be afraid. You're muted.
Yeah, got it. I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Zena, with us. And man, like, you get me excited just hearing your passion and your heart. And I just picture you all over Miami sharing about Optavia, which is just awesome. And you are so true. People desperately need what we have. I know I desperately needed what we have to offer. And so that does give us such confidence that we can go in there and share it with others. This weekend, I was at a gift shop, and the girl, I was telling her I was there celebrating my mom who'd lost a bunch of weight. And she said, man, I wish I could lose a bunch of weight. And I said, girlfriend, you can. Like, let's talk. So I Facebook friended her, right, which is way out of my comfort zone. I don't know if she will ever become a client, but I'm trying to practice and be more like you, Zena, and live out loud, kind of push the envelope, because I know that people need what we have. So thanks for being a great leader and inspiring all of us in that way. It's incredible. Now, so we talked about, you can definitely go and track people down like Zena does, and you can show them pictures in your iPhone, which is an awesome idea. That's going to be the thing I write down from this call, that I'm going to create a separate before and after album on my phone to show people. But you probably have all kinds of people in your own world that are on your heart to help. Courtney, you're probably driving right now, but I would love if you can, I'll unmute you, if you can share with us kind of what you have done, because your business has just exploded as of late. You're just on fire, which is so exciting to see. And a lot of that is coming from making a list of the people that God put on your heart to help. Would you mind kind of sharing that with us?
Yeah. Can you hear me? Am I on?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I am driving, so I'm not going to make a lot of eye contact, but heart is there. Yeah, I have found such a I found such a return on investing time-wise my emotions into Optavia and really committing things on paper. So when I started, I was like, I don't know if this is really going to do anything for me coaching, but I'm going to put everything in and then hopefully something comes back out. And if nothing happens in a year, I'm going to get my money back. I will not be getting my money back because everything is happening. And a big catalyst in that for me really was writing stuff down on my map, which to me seemed a little hokey and a little bit like just more kind of busy work. And I was like, oh no, I need to spend time doing more important things like getting clients. But nobody was interested. So I was like, fine, I'll try it. And I did it. And then people started coming out of the woodwork. There was something about, it's not an exact equation, but there is something about writing things down, having a goal in your mind. Not that people are your goal, but like just being mindful of people that really could be helped and changed by the program. Then they're kind of at the front of your mind, and then their picture pops up on Facebook or Instagram, and you're like, I wonder how they are doing. Oops, sorry, did I lose you? Yep. Are we still there?
No. We're here.
Yep. Okay. Sorry, my battery sign popped up. But there's something about just writing it down and then being at the forefront of your mind, and then you kind of find yourself just checking in on them and texting them, and they truly, I promise you, the people that I have written down are showing up on my client list because the seeds have been sown by the way that we live our lives next to them, and they're watching. People are watching how you do things, and like Erin was saying, just getting our own stuff together is also a great example. And then watching, I know I just found out through the grapevine, a person that is on my list asked somebody else in my life, I think those programs don't work because you really can't maintain it. And so I know she's watching me to see if I maintain it. And so I just know that seeds are being planted, even if there's no exact fruit right now. Writing those names down and really being intentional with them, not in a creepy way, but just really being mindful of where they are in life, and just patiently waiting until they feel like it's the right time for them has been super impactful for me and for my business.
Awesome. So, Thank you, Courtney. Thanks for sharing that. Just that piece of your heart. That's awesome. And I love seeing all the traction that you're getting from writing things down and just sharing your heart with others. And I'm so glad you're not sending that coach kit back.
Yeah, me too.
So, one of the things, we're talking about client acquisition tonight. And for me personally, one of the key things that I do for client acquisition is I post on Facebook. And that's because I found hope on Facebook. So I love giving that hope out to other people. And you have a couple of different ways that you can go about that. But one of the things that I've decided to do, and we're all business owners here, so you get to decide, is I practice curiosity marketing. And that's just kind of a fancy word for I don't use the name Optavia in any of my posts. And I don't do that because I'm trying to be tricky or sneaky or I'm ashamed of Optavia. I do that on purpose because I want people to come to me and ask me, what is this? What program are you doing? What I know about myself is if Dee would have posted about the program in Optavia, I personally would have just Googled it. I would have decided it's too expensive, it's not going to work, whatever. I would have talked myself out of it before I even had a full picture and knew what it was or how it could help me. And so because I personally want to make sure I can help people and I don't want to give them a reason to get stuck, me personally, I decided to practice curiosity marketing. And that has been tremendous for my business. So people will come to me like all the time and say, hey, what is this? Tell me about this program. So it kind of brings us to the next phase when people do express interest, whether it be on Facebook or even picking up your child in the preschool line. I have people, as all of us, if you have any weight loss story at all, I don't care if you've only lost 5 of 100 pounds, you have a weight loss story with Optavia, and you are a walking billboard. And I'm not saying that because I'm trying to give you pressure and you have to be perfect and all of that. But I'm just saying, as you live your life out loud, just like Courtney said and Zena said and Erin too, like as you live your life out loud, people are watching, right? And so they're going to want information and they're going to want to see you. If you're at your goal or, as you start losing weight, people are going to be watching. And so somebody may come up to you and say, hey, what is it that you're doing? And so when that happens, I always say, hey, oh my gosh, I would love to tell you about it. This program has rocked my world. by the way, it has. Like, when can I call you to talk to you about it? I'm running to go pick up my son. Can I call you tomorrow at 2:00 nap time? Does that sound good? And so I'll never give them the information right there, because what I found when I was a new coach, and really when I was on program, I was so excited about the program. I was like telling them all of the things, right? And they shut down. They get overwhelmed. So the great thing is with Optavia, we have a whole strategy and a process that we can walk people through exploring whether Optavia would be a good fit for them. And the way we do that is on the phone. If you're a new coach, I recommend you get with your business coach and do your first 5 calls together. That's just such a great benefit of Optavia. And Julie, in just a second, is going to walk us through that health assessment and what that looks like. And I will post later in our group different prompts when people ask you for the name of the program, and when people say, when they respond on Facebook Messenger, which if you do anything on Facebook, you see, they say, just tell me the name of the program, or just tell me how much it costs, or just tell me what it is. And I'm here to tell you, the 9 months that I've been doing this, anybody I've just texted or given the information to, 0 of them, absolutely none of them have moved forward in their health. They're all stuck because I went crazy and gave them all the information up front. So just wanted to offer that tidbit. We always want to bring people to the phone. And in that growing global group, they gave us all kinds of prompts. So I'll post those pictures of those prompts so you know what to say. But we always want to bring them to either a 3-way call if you're a new coach, or just bring them to the phone. Julie, will you kind of talk us through, you are an incredibly seasoned coach. You manage a humongous book of business. Would you mind walking us through the health assessment and kind of why that's a great tool?
Yeah, sure. So I think in my head, I need organization. And when I talk to somebody on the phone, the last thing that I want to feel like in my head is it's just a big spinning cloud. So that doesn't lead to a good conversation. And I think the cool part about the health assessment is it really is your guide for the conversation. Like, you don't want it to feel like you're asking really that you're following a structure. You want it to sound like a conversation with somebody. So now that I have had so many conversations, I very rarely even look at the assessment. I just kind of follow it in my head. But if you're a brand new coach, it is absolutely perfect to have it right in front of you and use it as your structure for the conversation. So the first thing on it is talking to people. Like, I usually ask them right out of the gate, like, so what made you message me, or what made you reach out? Tell me about that. And so that kind of opens up the conversation right out of the gate. And a lot of times, like, I would encourage you, if you're talking to somebody, especially if you like reached out and sent them a message on Facebook and you haven't talked to them in a while, it probably makes sense to just chit chat for the first minute or so when you're doing the call, because then you can just say, like, what's been going on in your world? How are you? I haven't talked to you in a couple of years. Like, so have a little bit of chit chat, but then pretty quickly I try to transition it right over to, so what made you reach out? And then let people talk and give them space to share, because you're going to find out a whole lot just by asking that one question or those questions. So people will start saying, well, I saw your picture and I feel miserable. Wendy and I got to talk to one lady last night, and she said, I have a wedding coming up. I need to fit in this dress and I need to do it by September. Like, she literally spit that out in 2 minutes. And so that was what led to the rest of the conversation. So giving people that space to share is the perfect way to kind of open up like an onion, like you're peeling back the layers. So then from there, you can kind of take it and say, well, how much weight exactly do you want to lose? When did you feel your best? Because a lot of times people will be like, well, I don't really know. And I just say, well, what was the best weight you ever felt? Tell me about that time. So then it gives them they start thinking like, okay, yeah, when I was right out of college. And so then they go into more details. So if you can just start thinking of it like peeling back the layers of an onion, you'll find out more and more. And ask maybe just 2 or 3 of those prompting questions, because you don't want this to take forever. Like, I try to block out on my calendar about 20 minutes. And I try to work through this pretty quickly, because people are busy. They don't want to feel like you're going on and on. So I try to make it pretty quick to the point, but you want to find out about them. So then once you've gotten those questions, you can kind of move through well, what's awesome is I myself lost 10 pounds, or I myself lost 100 pounds. And this is what was so neat. When I just heard you share, this reminded me of such and such. And so you can tailor it to exactly what they just talked about. So if you had a coach or a client that was working towards a wedding goal, you can share about that. A lot of times I'll talk about Joanna, who's on my team, and has been working for her wedding. So tailor it to exactly what people are asking or what they've expressed, what their struggle is. Does that make sense? You don't want to just talk about your own journey, blah, blah, blah. They don't really care about you. What they want to know is, how are you going to help me? So share quickly what's going to help them. And then you can also ask more detailed questions about, okay, so tell me what your day looks like. Do you eat every 3 hours? Or are you more of a person that eats breakfast and then doesn't eat anything till dinner? So find out exactly what their days look like. Do they sleep? Do they work out now? Because all these things you want to know, because as you're starting to help them get started as a client, setting up which program for them, you want to know those answers. So go through the daily habits routine section. And then usually from there, we'll go right on to the back where I'll ask them, like, do you have any food allergies? Tell me about any medicine you take, or go into those details. And then from there, I go right into the 4 components of the program. And I do not want it to sound like I'm listing, like, yeah, we're going to talk about how the habits of health are going to help you, and we're going to talk about this and the fuelings. Like, you want it to kind of go back to what they shared. So in my head, I think, well, if they talked about that they want to exercise, I'll talk about how the fuelings help them stay fueled, but the program's designed for your average person that's not working out right now, but we'll talk about exercise as next step. So I try to tailor those 4 components to fit exactly like what we talked about and what they just shared with me. Because in their head, once again, they just want to know how you're going to help them. So go into that, the community, the education, the fuelings, and then how you're going to connect with them weekly and coach them. And you're just going to be their guide and cheerleader. We're not going to be their savior. So talk about that. And then usually I'll just say, tell me, how does that sound to you? What are you thinking? And stop for a second and let them share exactly kind of what their feedback is. And then you can take them kind of like a fork in the road. Like if they say, yeah, that sounds awesome. So how much does it cost? You can go through that with them. Or if they say, I don't know, that sounds really like too tough for me to follow, or whatever, then you can figure out exactly what their walls and their struggles are, and you can address those versus just talking, and they really don't care what you're saying. So kind of always take a breath and let them share and see what their challenges may be, or what their what barriers there are. So once you go through that and kind of address all their questions, then I'll say, like, what other questions do you have? Or are you ready to get started? And then go from there. So hopefully that helps you guys. Does that give you guys some guidance?
Absolutely. Thank you, Julie. I loved that you talked about listening so much, because that is so key, hearing their heart and what they need, and being able to tailor the program to where they're at, and being bold and asking the question at the end. So are you ready to get started? Which, was hard for me to do in the beginning. And it's just something that I added into my process. And people so many times are like, well, yeah, so you just don't know unless you ask. So definitely don't be afraid to ask that question. So thanks for that reminder. That was awesome, Julie. And if you're a new coach, or really if you're a seasoned coach, any coaches out there, we have this awesome health assessment here. You can find yours at coachanswers.optavia.com and just type in the search bar under health assessment. This is like a prompt. It makes it so easy to do a health assessment. I use mine for every single call, unless I'm stuck in the playroom using my crayon, which, life happens, right? But for every single call, I do this. And then I'll put them in my Optavia notebook that Optavia sent when you became a coach. So highly recommend that you use them. It's such a great tool.
And one other thing is, I just peeked before we got on this call. You can actually, I bought it when we were at Go Global, but you can actually go on your own account and log in. And you as a coach will have a health coach like store section above where the fuelings are listed. And they actually sell like a packet of all these assessments for like $3. So if you don't want to waste time on printing them because they're a pain, because they're backed front to back, just go online and spend $3, and it's well worth it coming in your next order. So just a little tip.
And one thing that I did, that's a great tip, Julie. One thing that I did too when I ran out of my first one was I kept the last one in the pack, and I took it to Office Depot, and they made a bunch of them for me. So if you don't want to order on your website, you could go that route too. That's a great tip. Thanks, Julie, for that. Cool. Well, that wraps up our call tonight. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to end the recording, and then if y'all have questions, I'm happy to stick around and answer any questions you may have, but we're really glad that everybody was on. Y'all have a great night.